My name's Michael Reyes. I work for a private cremation service in southern Louisiana. We drive the van that comes when everyone else is done. Hospitals, coroners, nursing homes. They call, we pick up, we burn. No ceremony, no prayers. Just weight, paperwork, and ash. People think it's peaceful, that the dead rest quietly. But when you spend enough nights in the back of a van full of zipped bags, you start to notice things. Breathing that doesn't match yours. A finger pressing lightly against the inside of the plastic. No one told me what to do when that happens. No one told me that sometimes they still move. It's not a glamorous job. The pay's okay, but people look at you weird when they find out what you do. There's an unspoken culture in small towns like ours. Everyone pretends death doesn't exist until someone like me shows up in a white van at their front porch. The county pays me to drive bodies to the crematory at the edge of Mesa, right before the desert swallows the lights. The route never changes down Interstate 60, past the empty diners, through a stretch of sand and cacti that looks the same even at noon. At night, it's nothing but black asphalt and yellow lines, like I'm driving through a memory that refuses to fade. The crematory's run by Hank, an old vet with lungs full of smoke and stories nobody asked for. He smokes Marlboros, drinks black coffee, and keeps a wooden cross above the furnace, says it's just for balance. I once asked if he believed in anything after all these years. He said, "Not since I started watching people burn." Hank's one of those men you meet in the South, polite, slow-talking, built like a refrigerator, eyes gone gray from seeing too much. He taught me everything about this line of work, how to lift without tearing a bag, how to keep the smell off your hands, how to talk to the nurses when they hand you a tag and a clipboard but won't look you in the eyes. Most of them can't. Death's easier when you don't have to touch it. But that's my job. Touching what's left. My nights start at 10 p.m. sharp. The morgue doors always hiss when they open, automatic, old, probably haunted by the sound of themselves. I clock in, sign the log, grab the list of transfers. Sometimes 2 bodies, sometimes 5. Depends on the weekend. Hospitals don't sleep. Neither do we. I keep my van spotless. People joke about it, but I can't stand dirt in a place that carries so much of it already. There's a soft humming from the refrigeration unit in the back, constant like a heartbeat. Hank says it keeps him sane. To me, it's like white noise for the damned. I used to have a girlfriend, Jessica. She didn't last long. Said I came home smelling like iron and bleach, and that my eyes never focused when she spoke. Maybe she was right. The dead have a way of following you, even when you're off the clock. Out here in Arizona, the nights stretch forever. The stars are too bright, too still. Sometimes you forget how far you are from the rest of the world until the radio cuts out, and all you can hear is your own breath. There's a rule I made for myself: never play music, never talk to the radio. Just listen to the road. Let the hum take over. Because in this line of work, silence is safer than sound. The first time it happened, I thought it was the bumps on the road. The bag in the back shifted, a dull thud, then something like a slow, uneven movement. I pulled over near an old gas station, long shut down, lights dead and flickering in the distance. The desert was silent, just the wind brushing against the sand and the van's metal siding. I opened the rear doors. The air that came out was heavy, still cold from the refrigeration unit, but carrying a smell that didn't belong to anything living, metallic, sweet, wrong. The bag lay where it should, straps tight, tag on the zipper. DOA, cardiac arrest. I stared at it too long, waiting for something. Nothing moved. Then, from inside the cab, the radio turned on. I hadn't touched it. A preacher's voice came through, faint under static, and the dead shall rise first. I turned it off. The silence that followed felt worse. Back on the road, I told myself it was the suspension. The van's old. Maybe it shifted when I hit a dip. But my hands wouldn't stop shaking on the wheel. The desert at night has a way of stretching time. The horizon never ends, and even the stars feel like they're watching. Every sound becomes louder: the hum of the tires, the rattle of loose bolts, the soft tap 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 coming from the back. I kept my eyes on the road. Hank's rules echoed in my head. Though he never wrote them down, he made me repeat them. My first week: never drive past 3 a.m. If you hear knocking, don't check. I'd laughed back then. It didn't feel funny now. I made it to the crematory at 2:47 a.m. Hank was waiting outside, cigarette in his mouth, coffee in one hand, like always. He looked at me, then at the van. "You drove fast," he said. "Yeah," I answered. "Felt heavy tonight." He didn't ask what I meant. Just nodded, stubbed the cigarette out on the railing, and said, "They do that sometimes." I froze. "Do what?" "Move." He walked back inside without another word. I don't know why I wanted to open it. Curiosity, fear, maybe both. But I remembered Tommy's voice, "Don't open after midnight." I shut the door and got back in. The moment I turned the key, the radio came alive again. Not the same station, something else. Static, then whispers. Low, rhythmic, like someone repeating a prayer through clenched teeth. Still moving, still moving. I turned it off. It didn't stop. For a full 5 seconds, the whisper continued even though the power light was dead. When I reached the cremation site, the parking lot was empty. No other vans. No guard. Just the wind and the red light blinking above the furnace door through the window. I backed up the van, lowered the ramp, and rolled the stretcher inside. The floor was slick from humidity, the lights overhead buzzing in that uneven way. Fluorescent tubes, do, BZ, clee, bees t every few seconds. The lights dimmed and flared again, like the building itself was breathing. I unzipped the first half of the bag to check the ID tag. Nothing strange, male, mid-40s, listed cause of death, respiratory failure. But when I reached for the second strap to slide the stretcher, I felt the bag twitch. Just once, small, but real. A vibration, like a muscle spasm beneath the plastic. I froze. My hand hovered over it, waiting. Then it moved again, stronger this time, like something adjusting itself inside. I stumbled back, hit the table behind me, knocking over the clipboard. For a second, I thought maybe it was gas release, a normal postmortem reflex. But then came the sound, a low, wet exhale from inside the bag, a breath. I swear to God, it breathed. I stepped closer, listening, my own breath trembling in my throat. There it was again, short, ragged, uneven. Like someone trying to breathe through a crushed lung. My brain screamed, "Open it," but my gut screamed louder, "Run." I backed toward the door, every instinct telling me to get out. That's when the lights flickered off completely. For one heartbeat, I stood in pitch black. Then the generator kicked in, and the red furnace light blinked back on. The bag was still again. No movement. But I noticed something new. The zipper was open about an inch. I was sure I'd closed it. I heard the side door open behind me. Tommy's voice: "Rule number 4, man. Don't ever unzip a bag after midnight." His face was pale, eyes wide, sweat beading on his forehead. He looked at the bag like it might start screaming. Then he looked at me, dead serious. "There are rules, though Hank never wrote them down. He said if you work long enough in this job, the dead start teaching you themselves. You don't learn the rules," he once told me. "You survive them." Rule 1, never drive past 3:00 a.m. That's when the last shift ends. Hank said it's not about superstition. It's about rhythm. Life has a pattern, so does death. When the living sleep deepest, the others start to stir. I used to laugh at that. Until the night I was late on a pickup. I'd just left St. Mary's Hospital, running behind schedule 3:17 a.m. The world felt heavier. The roads were empty, even the streetlights dimmer than usual. My headlights barely reached past the hood. When I hit the interstate, something moved in the back. Not a twitch, a shift. I told myself it was gravity, or bad suspension. Then the van's temperature dropped so fast my breath fogged the windshield. The radio flickered on by itself. Static, then whispers, soft, overlapping, like a crowd speaking underwater. One voice rose above the rest, low and calm: "Turn back. You're driving past the hour." I slammed the brakes. The clock hit 3:20. The air felt wrong, like the world wasn't turning anymore. I turned around and went back. Never drove past 30 again. Rule 2. If you hear knocking from inside, don't check. Hank said sometimes the body isn't sure it's dead yet. Nerves, maybe. Or maybe they just haven't realized where they are. He told me a story once. A new driver, name was Cooper, worked 2 weeks before disappearing. On his last run, he called Hank on the radio. Said he heard something tapping from the back. Hank told him to keep driving. Don't look. Cooper didn't listen. They found the van 2 days later, still idling by the side of the highway. The doors wide open. The body bag was unzipped halfway. Inside there was nothing left but ashes. No body. No Coopered. Sometimes, when I pass that stretch of road, my radio crackles, just once. Like someone trying to tune in. Rule 3. Keep the windows open, even in winter. They hate still air, Hank said. I thought it was nonsense until I closed them one cold December night. Frost covered the glass, fogging up until I couldn't see the mirrors. The air felt thick, heavy, like someone was breathing beside me. Then I heard it, a faint exhale from the back. I rolled the window down halfway, and the sound stopped. I keep them open now. Always. Even when it's below freezing. I'd rather freeze than feel that breath again. Rule 4. If a bag twitches, keep driving. It's just the nerves. That's what Hank says. He never looks when it happens. He just turns up the radio, lights a cigarette, and hums. Bodies remember, he once said. The fire erases memory, but not before it wakes it up. I've seen it. The twitching, sometimes the whole stretcher shakes, the wheels rattling against the metal rails. Once, one of the bags rolled halfway off the gurney before I hit the brakes. I told Hank. He didn't flinch. They get restless before the burn, he said. That's how you know it's almost time. Rule 5. Always burn them before sunrise. The first time I broke that rule wasn't my fault. The furnace was down, the night too long. By the time I got the last body ready, the horizon was bleeding red. Hank rushed me. Get it inside before the light hits. I didn't understand why. Sunlight should be safe, right? But when I opened the bag, the body's skin was gray, not cold gray, but wet, like clay soaked in rain. The eyes were half open, and the mouth twitched, like it was trying to say something. The moment the first sunlight hit the window, the body arched. A low groan filled the room, not from the throat, but from everywhere, like the air itself vibrated. The temperature spiked. The walls shook. Hank pushed me aside, slammed the chamber shut, and hit the ignition. The fire swallowed the noise. But I swear I heard words inside it. A scream, stretched thin into a single phrase, too late. After that, I started keeping my own notes. Scribbles, reminders, fragments of things Hank never said aloud. There's a 6th rule, one he didn't tell me until the night before he disappeared. If you ever see your own name on a tag, he said, don't look inside the bag. He smiled when he said it, but his eyes looked hollow. I thought it was a joke. Until last week. One night, the cremator broke down. Hank said the heat chamber was breathing wrong. Whatever that meant. We had 3 transfers waiting, all from the same hospital, all tagged DOA respiratory failure. The air that night felt heavy, thick, like the desert was holding its breath. Hank cursed under his breath, threw his gloves on the floor. We wait till sunrise, he said. But rule #5 rang in my head, always burn them before sunrise. I didn't say anything. Just nodded, pretending not to hear. 3:30 a.m. The power flickered. The overhead lights buzzed, then dimmed to a faint orange glow. The temperature dropped, even with the furnace still warm from the earlier shift. I could see my breath. Inside a crematory. Hank went to check the breaker in the back room, leaving me alone with the bodies. 3 black bags lined up on gurneys. I don't know why I looked at the middle one. Maybe because it was the only one facing the wrong direction. The strap moved, a slow tightening sound, fabric stretching under pressure. Then came a low knock from inside the bag. 1, 2, 3. I froze. The hum of the refrigeration unit grew louder, like static under my skin. Don't check, I whispered. Hank's voice in my head. If you hear knocking, don't check. But something about the sound, it wasn't random. There was rhythm, knock 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 pause, like someone trying to speak 4:12 a.m. The bag started to move, not twitch, not shift. It sat up, my knees went weak. The zipper started to open from the inside. The pull tab rose, shaking, slow, metallic. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Inside was a man I'd seen before. Same jawline, same hospital bracelet. I delivered him 2 nights ago. He looked at me, eyes half burned, lips cracked and dry. When he spoke, his voice was like air leaking through an old pipe. You burned me too early. The smell hit first. Not decay, but something sharper, like burnt meat and chemicals. The middle bag had come unzipped halfway down. Steam rose from the opening. I could see the outline of a man's chest, blackened and cracked, ribs faintly glowing red under the skin, and his mouth was moving. You're burning them while they still breathe. The voice was wet, like air pushing through water. Every syllable came out wrong, stretched, melted. Then his eyes opened. Completely white. He reached up, his fingers blackened, tips glowing orange like charcoal. I stumbled back, slipped, hit the ground hard. The bag tore open the rest of the way with a sound like paper splitting. He sat up fully, smoke curling from his skin, lips peeling away in the heat. And then he screamed. Not a sound of pain, but a sound of release. It shook the air. The other bags started to move. One twitched. Then another. Zippers shifting on their own, metal teeth parting inch by inch. I grabbed the van door to slam it shut, but something grabbed me. A hand, slick, half-burned, clutching my wrist. It was strong. Too strong. I could feel the heat radiating from it, searing through my sleeve. I kicked, yanked free, and ran for the driver's seat. The radio came back on, only now it wasn't static. It was the choir again. But it wasn't Latin this time. It was English. And they were singing my name. Michael, Michael, stay with us. Every speaker in the van vibrated, the words coming from everywhere, echoing off the walls. I floored the gas pedal. The headlights cut through the rain, and for a moment, I thought I'd made it. Until I saw the reflection in the rearview mirror. The man in the middle bag wasn't in the van anymore. He was sitting upright in the back seat, head tilted, smiling. Smoke leaking from his mouth like breath in winter. I screamed and swerved off the road. The van hit the ditch, flipped once, then twice. Metal crunched, glass shattered. When I came to, the world was upside down, the engine hissing, smoke filling the cab. My arm burned, but I could move. I kicked the door open, crawled out into the mud. I quit last week. Packed my things, handed in my badge, and left the keys on Hank's old desk. They still haven't found him. The county listed him as missing in action, which feels darkly fitting for a man who never stopped fighting something none of us could see. I told myself I'd start over. New job. New city. Maybe something normal, something that doesn't smell like smoke or sound like bones settling in the dark. But normal doesn't come easy when you've spent your nights driving the dead. Sometimes, when I close my eyes, I still feel the weight shift behind me. I moved into a small apartment outside Tucson. 4th floor. Quiet. The kind of place where nobody asks your name. I like that. I keep the curtains drawn. The smell of bleach calms me now. I clean more than I should. Floors, windows, even the air vents. I keep waiting for the smell to fade. It never does. The county called yesterday. Said the cremation backlog's getting worse. Something about budget cuts, too many deaths, not enough hands. They asked if I'd consider coming back for a few shifts. I said no. But they said they'd keep my number just in case. Last night, I woke up around 3:10 a.m. The air felt heavy, that same thick stillness from the desert, like the world had stopped breathing again. Then I heard it. A van engine, idling softly, somewhere below my window. I didn't move, just listened. The hum was too familiar, same rough idle, same uneven rhythm. I tried to tell myself it was coincidence. A delivery truck, maybe. Then came the knock. Not on my door. Not on the wall, from inside, 3 slow, Deliberate knocks. Dot knock knock knocked. I didn't turn around. Couldn't. The sound came again, closer this time, like it was behind the drywall, or maybe under the floor. The radio on my nightstand flickered to life, hissing through static, just long enough for a voice to whisper through. The dead shall rise first. And under that static I heard breathing. Not mind, not human. Just waiting. I haven't slept since. The van's gone now. But every time I walk past the window, I can still see the tire tracks in the dust below. Perfectly parallel. Like someone parked there all night. Watching.